The young billionaire CEO visited the company cafeteria for the first time. The aroma of the food left him completely stunned. His exaggerated expression led the executives nearby to mistakenly assume he had grown up in poverty and had never eaten proper food before. In reality, he was the only son of the wealthiest family in the region. Having been accustomed to dining at the finest restaurants his entire life, this was his first encounter with such ordinary employee meals, which explained his shocked reaction. But these executives had no idea about the truth. Wanting to figure out more about this newcomer, one executive had a colleague deliberately test him by suggesting he buy drinks from the vending machine for the supervisors. They wanted to see what price range he would choose to gauge his financial situation. When he approached the vending machine, he stared at his wallet deep in thought. His wallet was filled with large denomination bills, far exceeding what the machine could accept. He had absolutely no idea how to operate it. The executives standing nearby observed all of this. Seeing that he couldn't even use a vending machine, they became even more convinced he came from a disadvantaged background. Just then, he looked up at the sky as if reporting his situation to his parents. Everyone assumed he was speaking to his deceased parents in heaven and felt guilty about their earlier gossip. They left before he could finish speaking, unaware that he was actually telling his parents to recall the surveillance drone and stop watching him. His family's company building was right across the street, and he had noticed the drone following him all along. He immediately guessed his parents had sent it, and sure enough, he was right. That evening after work, the executive saw him being harassed by the chairman's secretary, who seemed intent on forcibly taking him away. The concerned executive picked up a clod of dirt from the ground and rushed over. Before anyone could react, he scooped him up and carried him away from the scene. Afterward, the executive brought him to a restaurant. Seeing the food on the table, his eyes lit up once again. The executive found his reaction heartbreaking, assuming he was so poor he had never eaten at a restaurant before. He offered to treat him to the meal and caringly asked where he lived. He mentioned he had rented a small place near the company. The executive assumed it was one of those 50-square-foot rental units and reassured him, saying he had gone through the same thing years ago. He encouraged him, explaining that with hard work, he would eventually be able to afford a better place. Before leaving, the executive even gave him the napkins he had taken from the company. As the executive walked away, he was moved by his own act of kindness, completely unaware that the place the young CEO lived in was twice the size of his own home, and that what he considered a large house was merely an ordinary residence in the CEO's eyes. The next morning on his way to work, he wanted to try taking the bus. His parents had specially arranged one for him. Just as he thought he was genuinely experiencing public transportation, he looked out the window at a red light and saw the adjacent bus packed with passengers while his vehicle had only him inside. That's when he realized this was his family's arrangement. Out of boredom, he began examining the equipment on the bus. The various buttons filled him with curiosity. Despite the driver's warnings, nothing could stop his exploration. He then turned to look out the window and spotted the female coworker who had once accidentally kissed him. She was carrying a large bag of popcorn,